Welcome to my free writing course. My name's Mahsuda Snaith. Today I'm going to give you 3 tips for writing great dialogue. The first tip I'm going to give you probably seems like a pretty obvious one. It's probably something you already do as a writer, particularly if you already like writing dialogue. So my number 1 tip is to listen to how people talk. This might be overheard conversations that you hear on the street or when you're on the bus. Don't listen to people in a creepy way though. But those casual conversations that you sometimes overhear are great things to note down in a book. The thing to remember about listening to how people talk is you're taking the gist of those conversations to get a flavour of what real dialogue is like. What you don't want to do is to copy dialogue exactly as you hear it on the street. In natural conversation, there's lots of ums and ahs and stutters and pauses and hesitations, all the things that I cut out of this video. So be inspired by those conversations, but don't feel you have to copy them exactly as you heard them. A lot of different writers have said this in different ways, but fiction is life without the boring parts. Take out those boring parts. My number 2 tip is to use dialogue for 2 reasons. The first reason is to reveal something about character, and the second reason is to move the story forward. So sometimes dialogue tells us something about a character that maybe description or body language won't. That's useful stuff for us as a reader to pick up on things that maybe aren't explicit in a scene. If you want to reveal information in a different way from action or description, dialogue is a good way of breaking up the pattern. After you've done a couple of drafts of your writing, go back and look at the dialogue and see if it does those 2 things. Does it reveal something about the character or move the story forward? If it doesn't, then maybe you need to cut it out. Cutting is really hard, and I'm hoping to do a video in the next few weeks about how to edit your work. So I'm going to give you an exercise for writing a quick little scene with 2 characters. I want you to have a character A and a character B. Character A is telling character B that they are not invited to a party. Character B is angry about this, but doesn't want character A to know that. So what I'd like you to do is to spend about 5 minutes writing this back and forth between character A and character B. You can give them some names if you'd like, and cut out any dialogue tags. So he said happily, she said screaming. Take out the screaming, take out the happily. All we want is he said, she said, or he said, she said, she said. Or maybe not even the he said, she said. You could just write the dialogue without the tags completely. After you've written that little dialogue, I'd like you to go back and add 1 dialogue tag. So 1, she gasped, 1, she shuddered. I think taking out things and then adding 1 thing back in really makes you examine what needs to be in the scene. If you want to build on this scene, you could add a couple of lines of description or a couple of lines about body language. Body language can actually reveal a lot more about what a character is feeling than their actual words. So use it to your benefit. My number 3 tip is to study how your favourite writers use dialogue. Different writers use dialogue in lots of different ways. So if I sat here and said there's only one way of writing dialogue, I'd be wrong. The writing you like is probably going to have the type of dialogue you'd like to write. So examine how your favourite writers lay out dialogue, examine how much dialogue they use. There's always an example of a writer who's broken the rule. If you want to break the rules, you have to know what you're doing. So really examine the art so that you're an expert in breaking the rules before you break the rules. Some writers write pages and pages of dialogue without very much description between it at all. Some use lots of description. So really examine the different writers you like, experiment with those styles, and see what works for you. This was part of my free writing course. If you'd like to see more of these workshops, then you can subscribe to this channel or buy me a coffee on the Ko-fi link below. Thank you for joining me, and remember, every writing journey is different, so find the path that works for you.